Well, we all love leaks, don't we? Yeah, despite the embargo for Yunara dropping now, somehow she already got out. Or at least she did get out in pieces. Not literally. But thankfully, it is the 16th now, which means we can talk about anything. And so, once again, just in case you don't know, at the beginning of this month, Riot took a bunch of creators and they showed them the new Spirit Blossom stuff. First, we got shown some of the cool skins, as well as the big updates to ARAM, all of which is something we talked about in the previous video, but we weren't able to talk about Yunara. That was until now. And that's simply because right now is when Yunara should be dropping onto PvE. And so, strap up, because things are about to get cool. So yes, as I mentioned, leaks happened. Which could be because you are dealing with 80 creators from all across the world. It was only a matter of time before something would get out, I guess. And so yesterday, some people might have learned about her abilities, but thankfully it was only her abilities. You'll see that there is a lot more cool things behind her. For example, while we were at Riot and we were getting the presentation, we did not start with the gameplay. Instead, Riot started talking about something different. The story and the metagame. Now, for the story, we only got a quick press release because Riot didn't want to reveal the story just yet. Which is potentially because there are gonna be some really cool twists and turns. And so, let me just read you the press release. During the Darkin War, Yunara, the Kinku Order's Fist of Shadow, sacrificed herself to contain the Darkin Glaive within the Spirit Realm. There she remained until the Wild Bloom returned both her and the shrine she was sealed within to the mortal realm. Now, centuries in the future, Yunara finds herself in an Ionia she barely recognizes, armed with knowledge and techniques long forgotten until now. So yes, the cool twist is that the Spirit Blossom myth version of Yunara is the same champion we have now. It's just that the Spirit Blossom version is her from the past. But this is pretty much all we got for Yunara's story preview. However, there is more story that we can go through, but I don't want to spoil it all just yet. Partially it is because I still don't know the full story myself. But of course, a lot of Yunara's story is also in the metagame. So previously coming from the creators of Demon's Hand, as well as all the cool minigames during Arcane. Still going crazy and iterating with every new metagame, this time Yunara as well as Xin Zhao are getting a cool retro arcade fighting game. Now, I did get a chance to play the first level, and so let me just tell you, it really did feel like the good old classic Simpsons game. You fight as both Xin Zhao and Yunara, you swap to do some really cool combos. Honestly, at times, it kinda feels like 2x KO, where Xin Zhao is all about the dashing around, knocking people up, as well as the quick hits, with Yunara being more about the magical burst. And yes, of course, it is League of Legends, so both of them also have ultimates. The cool thing is, this entire game is just telling us their story. This all happens after Yunara comes back to Ionia, and it happens while the spirits of Ionia are still restless from the Noxian invasion. Meaning, it's time to fight a lot of demons. Also, don't be surprised if you see stuff narrated. Similar to the comic, this helps the story flow a lot, but as I mentioned, I don't want to spoil much both on the story and for the gameplay, which means it is time to move on, and it's time to have a look at the main course. Yunara's gameplay, which is something people got spoiled on. So while we were at Riot, we got a good few hours of playing as Yunara. And to make things a bit more interesting, Riot set up a 1v1 tournament. Now keep in mind that our group played against both Korean and Chinese creators, which included some former pros as well as a former champion. So out of our Westerner group, which included 4 Americans and me, everyone got knocked out in the first round. Besides me! I won 1 round, which means EU is better than NA. Also, this is a definitive proof I am way better than these 2 challenger no-names. And then I got destroyed by the former champion in the second round. Anyway, with this grand experience of playing Yunara, I can now tell you this is as safe of a design for a champion as possible. There is nothing really that crazy happening, however, there are things to keep her interesting. So, for her passive, which is Vow of the First Lands, also translated as Vow of Ionia, her critical hits deal extra magic damage. That's it. We haven't seen passive this simple since Nasus. But of course, this passive alone will tell you that she is gonna be a bit of a hybrid carry. Now next, her ultimate is very important, so we have to start with that before the basic abilities. So her ultimate is Transcend Oneself. When you use this ability, it enhances your basic abilities for a few seconds. You can see she's Ionian because there is inspiration from someone like Karma, I guess. And again, that's it. All quite simple. Which takes us to her Q, Cultivation of Spirit. Simply said, dealing damage to enemy champions as well as dealing critical hits fills up a bar. Once it's full, you can press Q and start draining that bar. And while it is draining, you get attack speed, you get bonus on hit damage, and your attacks also splash in an area. The cool thing is that when the main hit crits, the splash hits also crit. Which kinda means that we are talking about a hybrid magic dealing crit carry. That's a new term I did not expect to hear. And in general, her Q is gonna be the main ability that you will be playing around if you're playing as her or against her. You slowly build it up and then you burst it all down for some quick damage. Also, this ability is the only one that doesn't get enhanced with her ultimate. Instead, when you activate your ultimate, you also automatically activate your Q. So moving on, W, which is the Arc of Judgment, or Ruin. She simply throws out her beads, which damages and slows enemies as they pass by. Also, when they hit something or at its very end, they linger around for a little bit and keep damaging enemies. Now, while transcended, this ability turns into a magic beam that still slows and damages enemies. So again, all quite simple. Speaking of simple, her E, Kanmei Steps or Untouchable Shadows, it's just a speed burst. Literally, it's like a mini ghost. And yes, it will remind you of Kaisa a little bit. And while transcended, this small ghost turns into a dash. And that is it. This is a very simple champion, which only gets complex by the fact that it is an AD carry. So you'll be running away a lot. In fact, Riot also had a Q&A where they confirmed that Yunara is supposed to be a very traditional AD carry. She is supposed to be similar to someone like Smolder or Kaisa. And yes, I will have to say, they kinda landed there. Also, she is balanced specifically for bot lane, and Riot doesn't really have plans to also put her anywhere else. So of course, people are gonna ruin top lane anyway. And when asked about items for her, the devs mentioned that Hurricane benefits her greatly. In fact, during development, the splash damage from her Q actually benefited multiple times from crit damage, so she kept accidentally wiping entire teams and the devs had no idea why it was happening. Which also reminds me, the splash damage from her Q applies on hit effects. Meaning, hypothetically, you can put something like Hydra on her. Just for fun. But that is it for Yunara. Overall, this seems to be a pretty cool champion. While there is nothing really mind-blowing about her design, because it's also nothing crazy, I don't think anything bad is gonna happen with her. I mean, normally new champions tend to get broken on release. I mean, Mbessa looked fine, and then things got ridiculous. And so unless you play against a former Korean pro, like I did, there is a good chance you're gonna be fine because she is a very readable champion. But thankfully, even if you don't care about Yunara's gameplay, rejoice because there should be more lore. Not only is she still tied to the entire year's storyline, but also, since she's dropping on PBE, we should also get her bio soon. If not now. And until then, just wait till she gets nerfed many times, because with all the on-hit effects, which is also an AoE cleave, there is no way people won't try to play her as a jungler.